Joining us now, Professor at RMIT University Joe Siracusa, joining us as he always does on a Monday morning. Joe, what's your view of impeachment at the moment, and will that happen this week?
Good morning, Pete. Yes, impeachment is inevitable. It's been inevitable since the Democrats won the House of Representatives. They just couldn't resist that magic number 218 to impeach the president. So we're going to be going into a very dramatic season. We're going to have a couple articles of impeachment, mainly abuse of power vis-a-vis the leveraging of the Russian president, and we're going to have obstruction of justice, or obstruction of power with the Congress. So whether they're going to use any of the Mueller amendments, obstruction of justice, we don't know. So look, we're into the final showdown. This is sort of like a poker game. Remember those poker games on television? This is Texas poker. It's all in. The Democrats have pushed the chips across the table. The president says he ain't even going to sit down with them, just turn the cards over. And he's got everything he needs in the Senate to win it, but it's going to be a spectacular event. You know, and while the president's doing this, he's not paying attention to other problems. We got this morning, we got the Russian Putin is meeting his opposite number, Zelensky, in Ukraine, in Paris, about eastern Ukraine and about the war going on there. We got Boris Johnson, who's driving one more nail into the Brexit, which is probably more to do with the end of NATO than he realizes. And we got our little friend, the rocket man, who is threatening Donald Trump with a very, very unpleasant Christmas present. But I mean, so you know, it's all back to normal. We've got ourselves a hell of a news week.
Joe, just back on poker, because I don't mind that. It's a game that the Democrats are going to lose, though, ultimately.
Yeah, sometimes the Democrats are just stupid. Look, if you're going to lose a game, you're just going to walk out of the casino. You're not going to sit down and say, look, I'm going to lose everything here. Every one of those Democrats going after the president with these particular charges have to face election on the same day that he does in 2020. So they're taking a big risk here about whether their electorates are going to believe what they have to say. I think it's kind of like cry in the dark. You know, maybe they'll win this one, maybe they'll not. But you know, this is a week where we're just going to buckle in, and all the networks are going to be terribly interested in this. You know, the cable news in America who like Trump are going to have a great time. Those who hate Trump are going to have a great time. This is more like a media show. But then we get to see, a couple weeks after that, we get to see the trial in the Senate. And keep in mind that the people in the Senate pride themselves on decorum. Now, look, they may be slobs in $3,000 suits, but they are very, very polite in Senate. They don't say anything nasty. They don't use any four-letter words. They don't say anything about anybody, really. They're very, very big on decorum. So when we get to the Senate, we're not going to have that same kind of crying match that we get in the House of Representatives about let's get this guy and let's impeach him, et cetera, with all kinds of four-letter words. So it's a very different show. But it'll be fun to see the Chief Justice of the United States presiding over a trial. We're going to have various attorneys coming in for the Democrats, maybe Adam Schiff himself, talk about why the president should go, and then we're going to have the president's people come in and defend him, and it'll be great television and great news. But at the end of the day, we're not going anywhere because the president has the numbers. And American politics, like Australian politics, always comes down to the numbers. If you don't have the numbers, don't sit down at the table. Go home. Get your numbers later on. So that's the great lesson.
Does Hillary? There's a lot of talk about this. I mean, I'm not sure how serious it all is, to be honest with you, Joe. But what are your thoughts on Hilary Clinton at the moment? I mean, is she foxing? Is she seeing an opening next year, or is you know, that kind of talk not going anywhere?
Well, look, in this country, John Howard was dead at one stage, and in America, Richard Nixon was dead at one stage, and they both came back to life. Look, in politics, there's never, never. I mean, she sees an opening here. Bloomberg is going to make Joe Biden's life miserable, and frankly, people aren't paying too much attention to what's going on. She probably still has a pretty good chance of beating the president. And you know, Pete, there's a disease in America called the Potomac fever. Once you run for president, you never quite get it out of your system. You go around like Mad Felix telling people for the rest of your life why you lost and what you would have done. And I don't think Hillary's quite got over the fact that she's lost yet. And one thing about the Clintons is they're not very conciliatory losers, you know, because she got beat up pretty badly. Look, I think she'd have a run at it, and she might even beat the guy. But the trouble is that the Democrats don't want to give a used car a second chance. They want something new off the rank here, and so they may ignore her. At least the party will look at you know, the millennials, that is the left wing of the party, the young and the wild people. They don't want to see her again because she's too close to Wall Street and the military and the rest of it. They want to see somebody zippier. The trouble is the Democratic Party is run by itself is run by the radicals on the left, and the major people running for office tend to be moderates. So you know, never the twain will meet, and that's why the Democrats lost last time, and they'll probably lose the next time. Yeah,
I think you're probably right there, Joe. Appreciate it, as always, on a Monday morning. Good to get your thoughts. We'll chat to you again next week.